Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Shout out to all the wonderful new subscribers and returning friends. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, so when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. Mr. Uganda has come in and spoiled the party. I'm gonna block this guy. I'm joking. It is, of course, Pick Me Monday. So shout out to all the pick me's out there walking 15 paces behind your man, not even able to read or write. And all you do is cook, clean, and whatever he says. When he says jump, you say, "How high, my lord?" Yes, it is Pick Me Monday. So shout out to all of you who are being pick me-licious out there. Of course, I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. Links are in the About section. So please follow me, support your girl over there. And of course, check out the community tab because we have a lot going on over there as well. So I was perusing these YouTuber streets, as it were, and I came across this. I saw this, coming up in my feed and everything, and I was thinking, what's going on here? Tina Knowles, who has a double barrel name. She hyphenated the name, which is always a bad sign, as it were. I don't know if it's for legal purposes, work purposes, but for some reason she didn't want to just change her last name, which is always a red flag. And Tina Knowles is coming out with a docuseries on the concept of racial profiling. And basically she talks about how she was on a plane or something, and a white woman must have made a comment how could Tina allow Beyonce to marry a drug dealer or a gangster rapper or something like this. So I'm going to read the article. Shout out to shout out to George in the building. Wait a minute, Auntie. What is this asking how high? They already supposed to know. They're supposed to read your mind, God damn it. You walk with the whip behind them and you say jump, and they just jump. They know how high. It is probably because she wants to stay attached to Beyonce's brand. Possibly. It's possibly. All right. So I wanted to first read a little article and break it down, and then afterwards maybe we'll play a little bit of an interview that she did with Gayle King. We know Gayle King is one of these women who basically doesn't get a lot of love from the male spaces because of her affiliation in the past with Oprah, who's basically made an entire career out of disrespecting Black men. So let's get into this article. It's by The Vibe. It's called Tina Knowles Lawson Debunks Stereotypes in America in Docuseries Profiled the Black Man. Okay, so there's Tina. It's not looking bad at all. I'm not going to say if I was her age I would, but okay, whatever. So a man, obviously, not a lady, but these days it's 21st century. We can't really count anything out. So it says here, Tina Knowles Lawson is set to executive produce a new docuseries called Profiled the Black Man, presented by Discovery Plus and own Oprah Winfrey Network. The 4-part series examines the origins of the widespread stereotypes that have permeated society and impacted the lives of Black men in America for centuries. The depictions we constantly see of Black men frequently minimize the depths of who they are. Society has characterized Black men by stories told through biased and racially tinted lenses, said Knowles Lawson in a press release. Profiled the Black Men is a love letter to Black men, telling them we see them and that they deserve to exist in this world in their fullness. I am excited to lend my voice to reshaping the way our men are perceived and shining a light on the true essence of the Black men that I encounter every day. Okay, so when I read that sentence, the first thing that came into my mind was the BETs. I was doing a video breaking down the signs and symbols of the BETs, but basically I ran out of storage space, and so I couldn't finish the video, and it was going to be really good. So at some point I may go back to that, or we'll have to do a live. Obviously it's quite difficult because I've got to get the imagery together, but I remember there was a speech at the end of the BETs where the women jumped up, and after this was an extremely gynocentric affair, it was literally woman worship from start to finish. Then there was this half-baked, we need our Black men, we want our Black men, we see you. And this concept of we see you, unless black men are generally invisible, well, in some respects, I would say that they are. I don't understand why black men need to be seen. Okay, this is one of those I'm doing something while doing nothing statements where you're being busy doing nothing. It's a platitude. It's basically a half-baked gesture that will basically lead to nowhere. The statement, at least. Okay. So, Profiled the Black Men is a love letter to black men, telling them that we see them and that they deserve to exist. Okay, they deserve to exist, but beyond that, they deserve to be enriched, they deserve to be followed, they deserve to be praised, they deserve to have good jobs and equal opportunities. And we don't just, well, not me personally, because I'm not a black man, but speaking, I would think to a degree in first person for black men, black men don't want to be seen, okay, because they don't have an invisibility jacket per se. They want equal opportunities, rights, respect. And that's what a lot of men are saying. There is an all-out attack on masculinity right now. And men don't want to feel like because they were born, male, that there's some type of defective female. Okay, so the whole love letter, black love, and all these different kind of words that are being used here is very feminine language. But on top of it, you need something more concrete and solid than just empty words and gestures. Now, this is a good start, I guess. It's a docuseries. It's going to get out to the masses. Tina is saying that, a lot of black women, they do know decent black men, but because of the way they're characterized in the mainstream media, a lot of white people have a very negative view of black men. We know that, for example, black boys are likely to be aged 3 years above their actual age. So if a 15-year-old, maybe he's stocky, maybe he's tall, a black boy is walking down the street, he's going to be perceived to be at least 19 years of age. And that can affect the way the police treat him, the way people speak to him. We've seen countless incidences of young black men being, dragged up and down, pinned on the floor, and they're children, they're minors. But because there is a perception that a black male is not just older than his actual age, but deserves to be treated based on the age you perceive him to be, as opposed to finding out how old he actually is. This is causing a lot of problems for a lot of young people who are being profiled and mistreated and traumatized in the process. So people, this bringing this attention to white people, it kind of goes back into the conversation we had kind of recently, where I was saying, if white people want to fix these problems, or if white people really care, they need to go to each other and fix this issue. Okay, black people don't really own the media like that. Okay, a lot of us are front of house. They put us at the front of music videos or whatever brands or whatever, imagery in terms of like, well, we need to sell to black people. So obviously front of house has to be black faces, but behind the scenes it's all being controlled by white people. And so at the end of the day, if black people want to see change, there's things we have to do, but if they really care, there's things they have to do amongst themselves. For example, if we don't control the media, but you only show negative depictions of black men, well, then you need to show more positive depictions of black men. But I personally feel it's up to black people to finance their own industries. We don't really need white people to basically give us a handout, because we have more than enough money to build our own media outlets. It's just, do we care enough about it to actually do it? So I didn't really like the language there. I found it to be a little bit feminine. Okay, and we see you. What does that mean? It doesn't really mean anything. Okay, and shining a light on the true essence. I might show a little clip of the trailer, but I noticed that Billy Porter is actually speaking. So again, we have this alliance between the LGBTQ community and obviously the black community. And again, I'm not saying you have to hate on people who are part of the LGBTQ community, but do we necessarily need people who are in a minority within a minority to speak up? Again, it's kind of like every time black people try to mobilize, there's always another group trying to jump on the bandwagon. It's like, oh, well, if you know what it feels like to be persecuted as a black person, you should support gay rights. Oh, if you know what it feels like to be persecuted as a black person, you should support feminism. It's just like every time Black people try to mobilize, that pie gets split more and more because everybody's like, well, we can jump on the whole civil rights bandwagon. So it was interesting who they picked for the trailer. That's not kind of lost on me. So this is the front of the book. As you can see, it's the fist, the symbol for, you know, Black power and things like this. So it goes on to say, Trell Thomas is also an executive producer on the project Profiled. Profiled will make use of historical footage, real-life testimony, and commentary from public figures, including DeRay McKenzie, Tamika Mallory, Sway Calloway, Billy Porter, and more. Actor Tristan McWiles hosts the docuseries. For most of my life, I've always had to wonder how people saw me and constantly felt like I was fighting an uphill battle based on many of the negative stereotypes that surround me and people that look like me, said Thomas. I wanted to create this series in order to give Black men a voice and the power to write our own narratives and tell our own stories. And I have nothing against that, but you know, it depends which stories you're talking about, because we know there's always agendas behind the agendas. A lot of these are Trojan horses, and I'm going to give a little bit of that later at the end. Not much, because as I'm just quickly scrolling through this is what personally came to my mind. So it says here, according to the press release, each episode will dismantle long-standing stereotypes about Black men that have plagued the nation since its inception, while exploring and debunking a different stereotype each week. The 4 parts are as follows. Black men are dangerous, Black men are absent fathers, Black men do value Black women, and Black men don't cry. So the last part, as you can see, again, Black men do cry. They have the right to a full range of emotions. They are human. And that is obviously part of the whole countering the Black male misandry that we see in, you know, globally, not just amongst non-Black people, but even amongst Black women. As I showed you in the last video, we're talking about a young Black boy imitating his mother. And I'm trying to get a lady who's going back and forth with me to admit that this is misandry. Like, if the roles had been reversed, where a father was calling his little girl baby mama kid, and if you don't tidy this room, you're going to have to find somewhere else to stay. Like, all the women would be up in arms saying this is abuse, this is misogynoir, this is why little Black girls are so unprotected and disrespected, and, you know, you name it, they would say it, okay? But once it comes to the roles and the genders being reversed, all of a sudden it's like, this is just comedy, it's funny, it's no big deal. Okay, so misandry is a big problem. It's institutional disrespect and contempt for Black men that is pervasive in the Black community. And it's not just, you know, something that happens outside. It's alive and well, probably more at this point within the Black community. Okay, a lot of these stereotypes that Tina wants to dispel are perpetuated by Black women more than anybody else. Okay, so it says here the Profile will premiere on Saturday, February the 12th, exclusively on Discovery Plus, with new 1-hour episodes available to Discovery Plus subscribers every Saturday through March 5th. It is produced by A. Smith and Co. Productions, with P. Frank Williams as showrunner and Kristen V. Carter as co-executive producer. OWN Network, Oprah Winfrey Network, oversees the production of this series. Okay, so shall we try and let's try and play the trailer and see if we get a strike. Fair use.
Black men are beautiful.
Black men are magnificent.
Black men are innovators.
Black men are brilliant,
Compassionate.
Intelligent.
Complex.
Resilient.
Critical.
Necessary.
Warriors.
Everything.
Cosmic, supernatural, cool. I've always felt the perception of who we are is filtered through a lens of fear.
Still to this day, Black men are not able to just walk down the street without someone assuming that they don't belong there.
Stereotypes that have been put on Black men takes place in the newspaper headlines. It takes place on the television, and I think it's played a major role in the bias against Black men. It's an atomic bomb.
It's every day for us. Every single day.
Put your hands out the window!
That's the narrative. I felt threatened. I felt afraid. If they got on handcuffs, they're still a threat because they're Black men.
Black men are not a threat.
Black men portrayed as dangerous has been inside of the fabric of American culture from the beginning.
Young Black boys in America, we don't get a chance to be kids for a long time. There's no room to emote with the exceptions of anger.
Society would have you think that we don't love and really rock with our queens like that, and we do.
Most Black fathers are in the home. Well over 50% is a shocker to many people.
We are all living through a very painful time, and we must be able to talk about that.
So shout out to Mr. Uganda. He said, I don't know if I would need to hear this. Lol. It seems cringeworthy to me just from seeing this. Shout out to Hood Conservative. I hear she's getting dragged in the comments. That's the part I planned on talking about. So Hood Conservative is going to drop a video on that. Shout out to the wacky world of Oh, peace to you, and obviously the Afropolitan podcast. That K dude, he says, hey bro, and shout out to the chat. Wonderful. Thank you so much. If you guys are just coming in, please make sure you hit the like button. Shout out to SKC, still seeing women trying to control the narrative of Black men. And I'm glad, this is one of the reasons why I was going to do a live, because I wanted to get a number of other people's perspective on this, because I didn't really see this as wholly a positive thing. Okay, yes, it's positive to open the dialogue, but if the dialogue is not coming from the men themselves who, and I know they say they're going to interview men and talk about men and talk to men and history and blah, blah, blah. But the question is, how full is that history going to be? How deep are they really going to take the systematic racism and the prejudices against Black men? Or is it just going to be an agenda with an agenda? And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was partly because, somebody sent me, shout out to Mr. Uganda, the number one spoiler. That's why he's smiling like this, because he's like, I know what you're going to say. Somebody actually sent me a screenshot on Instagram of a petition that has been launched by a prolific hater of Black men in these YouTube streets. I'm not going to say the name of the person, but there's two people that are, commonly known in these YouTube streets for having contempt for Black men. Okay, and the petition reads: sign this petition to cancel Tina Lawson's docuseries entitled Profiled: The Black Man, which was created in an attempt to counter so-called negative portrayals, in air quotes, of Black men, despite the fact that Black women are being killed by men in the community every 5.5 hours. Also, according to the FBI, we are 4 times more likely to be murdered by a significant other than non-Black women, and 92% of these killings are intra-racial, meaning the overwhelming majority of these murders were committed by Black men, implying that our victimizers are simply being profiled instead of addressing horrific acts of violence and genocide occurring within the community is not okay. And then there is a link to a change.com petition, or change.org petition. Okay, so when I read that, I thought to myself, number one, I think the manosphere is really having an impact. Number two, I thought, Tina, you double-barreled your name, which doesn't really look good in these streets, like you're really a submissive, cooperative wife. Number three, I still remember the way you disrespected your husband on the TV, okay? And when you told everybody globally that your man was not the man you were looking for. So it's funny how now that your popularity is probably waning and you realize somebody said, she wants to stay attached to Beyonce, who no matter what happens, she's not leaving Jay-Z for love nor money. Now all of a sudden, the women are coming out in force with all of this rhetoric about we see you, we love you, we want you, we need you. And so again, she sees an opportunity. I'm not saying that she is not genuine, but I'm saying that she definitely sees an opportunity to cash in, to basically jump on now the whole we need and love and care for Black men bandwagon. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. In theory, it's kind of like the Trojan horse, however, of Black Lives Matter. You know, how can you say you don't like the concept Black Lives Matter? Are you trying to say Black lives don't matter? Yes, I do, believe Black Lives Matter, but the organization is not an organization that's actually helping Black lives. The people who need the money didn't get the money, and the real root of the problem is not being addressed. So what's the point to have an organization with a very compelling name if it's not actually taking any action? Okay, so I feel a little bit like I'm worried. I'm more worried than I am excited about something like this venture, because at the end of the day, if the narrative is skewed in a direction that we don't want it to go, this is actually going to do more harm than good. And as I said, a lot of the times these projects are not really to promote, for example, patriarchy and traditional gender roles and really getting Black males what they need, boys and men what they need. It's more about, within the agenda, or using the deaths and the fear of Black men and the stereotypes and the narratives that are out here. It's actually about trying to push an alternative agenda. And so I just wanted to say, a lot of the times people say this is just the internet and blah, blah, blah. When Tina Knowles probably said what she said about her husband not being everything that she really wanted, I'm sure a lot of Black women championed her and said, yes, these Black men are inadequate. They are, they ain't sugar, honey, iced tea, as they would say. These men don't produce, they don't provide. She's so fantastic. She's so amazing. She produced these two superstars, and, what's she doing with this dusty bomb? And, you name it, they said it. Okay. Everybody was probably championing Tina for what she said and how she openly disrespected her husband and made him look very small on the global stage. And the same women who probably were cheering her on when she was for the sisterhood, now all of a sudden they're actually calling for her to basically be cancelled. A lot of the times when we say that women they're the biggest hindrance to progress, and I'm not saying that about all women, but this clique, this sisterhood, this concept of, in order for you to be uplifting Black women, you have to be putting down Black men. That cultural mindset is what is keeping progress at bay, which is why sometimes, I do say, Black men need to just separate and surrogate. I know it's not a practical solution for the vast majority of men. If not, SYSBM is a cheaper option. But if the women are going to continually be a hindrance to progress, unfortunately, they have to be removed from the picture. So I just wanted to bring this to you guys as I've seen it. Shout out to Corvus Clay in the building. SKC says, let them team up today if you're available. And I hope you guys are, I don't know, with everything that's happened with the ladies. I don't want to start getting into misogyn war, but it just is what it is. Okay. I'm not sure that this is going to be a positive thing. Okay. It sounds nice on the surface. The fact that you have Billy Porter speaking for Black men, I know he's a controversial figure. I wonder if somebody like a Kevin Samuels, Obsidian, a Tommy Sotomayor, if these are the guys that actually, you should be speaking to. And it's kind of like anytime the Black men try to mobilize, they find a more watered down, acceptable, palatable version that they can push on the masses. And do Black men, cisgendered, heteronormative, patriarchal, shout out to SWP, do they need Billy Porter speaking for them? And that's not me necessarily being homophobic or whatever. Let's just use the word, because I know that's what people are going to interpret it as. But they have an agenda. People from that community, they see themselves as part of that community before they even see themselves as Black. And so I don't know how he is the best spokesperson or how many times he personally walked down the street. I'm not going to belittle his experience, but I'm just saying. So when I came across this, I wanted to just bring it to you guys' attention. She did interview Gayle King. We know Gayle has received a lot of flack over the years for basically throwing Black men under the bus. Okay, her and Oprah Winfrey have made a pretty penny talking pretty much smack about Black men. And so
and highlights the impact of harmful stereotypes on Black men. She is an executive producer of the series, and oh yeah, she's also the mother of 2 powerhouse daughters. That would be Beyonce. These horrible stereotypes on Black men. She is an executive producer of the series, and oh yeah, she's also the mother of 2 powerhouse daughters. That would be Beyonce and Solange. Profile the Black Man uses real-life stories to explore the history of stereotypes. It highlights the challenges that Black men face because of them. It also shines a light on people who are dedicating their lives to changing that narrative. The first episode dismantles the damaging idea that Black men are dangerous. Tina Knowles Lawson talks about the role that the media plays on that and how Black men are portrayed. So in this clip, she describes a very personal experience involving questions about her son-in-law. We all know him as Jay-Z.
I can remember getting on a plane and an older white woman saying, "Oh, your son is a gangster rapper, right? How did you let him marry your daughter?" And it was just shocking to me. And I said, "No, actually, my son is a CEO." She didn't think of him as a CEO or even a talented celebrity that, was a great businessman. And at that time, I remember thinking, I can't be mad at her because that is what the media portrays.
Tina Knowles Lawson is the executive producer of the series and the co-founder and artistic director of the Waco Theater. She's with us first on CBS Mornings. Tina, my mouth fell open when you gave that example because I'm thinking, and then you followed up by saying, I'm not even mad at her. How are you not mad? And it's good to see you, Tina. It's good to see you. How are you not mad?
Long time. Just because I thought, I sat there and I thought about how the media portrays Black men and how that is typical of the things that they would focus on, the negatives, and try to portray us as these dangerous, our men as dangerous, uneducated, gangster rapper. That's all she could come up with. But that's what she, that's what she had been seeing on TV and all in the media. That's how we're portrayed, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you're saying we can't really blame her. I have to tell you, we were only allowed to see one part of the series, and I was so bummed, Tina, because by the time I watched the first one, I wanted to watch the other 3. It made me angry. It made me sad. Oddly enough, I also found it uplifting. And I'm wondering, I've heard you say that you wanted this to be a love letter to Black men. So your goal here is what exactly?
Absolutely, to debunk those stereotypes that our men are dangerous. How many times has a Black man walked into an elevator and someone clutches their purse, or they walk by a car and the doors are locked? And they could be a judge. They could be. They have no idea, but because it's a Black man, especially if they're of some stature, that they are dangerous. And so, if we can kind of get people to understand that that's not so, and to show them examples of otherwise, that we do have good fathers and we are good providers, and we love our men love their own women as well. It's just all the negative stereotypes, and it's just perpetuated over and over, no matter what.
Yeah,
it's just what everybody thinks.
And the other thing I liked about it.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gail.
No, the other thing I liked about it is you gave example after example to illustrate the point of the disparities that exist for Black men. And one thing that I found really striking, you had a Black man and a white man who have the same build, weighed the same, had the same body build, but yet when the audience was asked, when the survey was asked, people automatically said that the Black man was more muscular, and looked more dangerous, which I found fascinating when you have 2 side by side looking the same way other than the color of their skin. What do we do to change that way of thinking?
Well, I think, when Trell brought this, Trell Thomas is the guy who actually talked about these problems and wanted to do something so badly to debunk these stereotypes. And I was like, if you don't see it, create it. And we'll get together and we'll work on this and make it a great thing. What I said to the producers is that I know that if we put this series on BET or one of the Black stations, that we already know that our men are not dangerous and that they are good fathers and all of these things. Who needs to see it are the people that are at home, the white people who don't understand that that is so. And they have been fed a lot of nonsense through the media and all of these horrible stereotypes. So I applaud the network for putting that on the Discovery Channel. That's amazing. It's bold.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I hope that many people will see this and they will say, wow, maybe I'll give people a chance before I judge them because of the color of their skin.
Yep. I have to say, and I'm not just saying this, Tina, because you're sitting here in front of me, but it's so well done. I think it's must-see TV. I know Tony in the studio. Do you have a question for Tina?
Yeah, Gail, thank you very much. Tina, thank you very much for being here. My question is a quick one. It took us hundreds of years to get to this problematic point. How quickly do you think we can get past it?
Oh my God. Sometimes I have a lot of hope, and then I turn on the news that day and my hope is kind of shattered. So I pray that it's going to happen soon. I pray that everybody will open their minds and open their hearts, and everyone will try to get together and see each other as people and not see by color of their skin. But I don't know. I'm not as optimistic as I was yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Tina, I understand that. I just want to say before you go, 10 years ago, you told me that your oldest daughter, your favorite oldest daughter, said she works harder than anybody you know. Anybody you know, and I've never forgotten that about how hard Beyonce works. She's been nominated for an Oscar. What was the reaction in the family as we go to break? What was the reaction?
So basically, once again, a conversation about black men has to be hijacked by a black woman. And Wacky makes a great point. Is this about trying to actually solve a problem, or is it basically capitalizing on this so-called woke culture? And so that's my sentiment as well. I don't feel that this is really about trying to fix a problem per se, but this is a cash grab, and there's an opportunity here for them to basically to make money. Since when was Tina the spokesperson for black men? I am not here for it. Doesn't she have other projects to work on? She needs to relax and let her children enjoy the spotlight because it's not necessary. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this kind of docuseries is going to do more harm than good? Do you think it's actually going to be beneficial? The question about it's taken hundreds of years to get here, can it be changed or turned around? That's an interesting question, because the question is, the people who make the rules, do they want to see it turned around? Other than that, a lot of people said Billy Porter doesn't speak for them. And if you were born male and you identify as male, congratulations, you're cisgendered. Okay. So with that being said, I really appreciate everybody who came through. Please, if you haven't hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button. Whether you like the video or not, hit that subscribe button, set those notifications to all. Obviously, share the video with somebody who needs to see it. And let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.